Hi students, in this video we're going to be solving a past paper question that asks you the impact on the market price and the quantity being traded after a change in demand. Now it's a question from June 2015, paper 21, question 3, part C. It says, using a demand and a supply diagram, analyze why a fall in incomes may reduce the market price of our houses. Now guys, whenever you're solving a past paper question and if the question is on demand and supply and they ask you using a demand and supply diagram, usually these kind of questions will come in 6 marks, analyze type questions that are tested in parts C of any question, right? Because part C of any question has the command word of analyze, right? So I'll cover what analysis is in some other video in detail, but in this video we're going to specifically be seeing the impact of how demand will influence due to a change in income. So let's first see that, as per the marking scheme, whenever you have tested a 6-mark question for demand and supply in part C, so 4 marks are allotted, that up to 4 marks are allotted for demand and the supply diagram, for labeling the axis and all, right? And measuring the shifts and all, and showing the final equilibrium or the change after the change in equilibrium, right? And 2 marks, up to 2 marks are allotted for a written analysis of explaining the reasons that why is this happening, not just mentioning this is happening, because if you're mentioning or stating it, that the examiner can also see in the diagram itself. So you have to explain and analyze that why is this happening, what's the process that is leading to a change in equilibrium, right? So what is going to happen in this question? It says analyze, and guys, just to give you a brief summary about analyzation or what analysis is. Analysis, remember students, it goes one step beyond what explanation is. So stating something means just to state that particular point. Explaining it would be to go one step ahead of stating it, and explaining that if you say that demand is falling, then explaining that why is this happening, explaining the process that why is demand increasing, or giving the reasons, right? Now analysis goes one step beyond that, and analysis requires you to give examples, analysis requires you to give diagrams, to somehow give a more in-depth analysis, a more in-depth explanation of what the question is asking you to do, right? And that is what analysis, it basically, in short, it's a very deep explanation of whatever point you're trying to make in your answer. So basic analysis is just a deep explanation of whatever point you're trying to make in your answer, backed up by relevant examples, backed up by evidence, backed up by relevant examples, backed up by evidence, and also backed up by relevant diagrams. So the question says that incomes are basically falling. Now, if incomes are falling, we know that income is a factor that affects demand, right? So if income is going to fall, what will happen? That it is going to basically shift the demand curve to the left, and we'll see that. So first of all, you draw an original, just draw a demand and supply diagram and just show the original equilibrium and the original quantity being traded. So P is the original price at which the houses are sold in the market. Q is a quantity or the number of houses being traded, and let's write, since they have mentioned the product itself, the good itself, the commodity, it's houses, so we're going to write quantity of houses, right? Although you can also write quantity, it won't really matter, but again, it's just going to give you a good basically, so it's just going to give the examiner a good impression. And you can use the heading, you can write the heading down, that is market for housing. And since we use the word market, it automatically means that we are making a demand and a supply diagram together. Now incomes are falling, definitely the purchasing power will fall, and hence as a result of that, demand will shift to the left. Now as demand shifts to the left, we know what is going to happen, because we have seen in quite detail what will happen whenever demand will shift to the left in the previous videos. If you don't remember, you can go and check them out. So what will happen? The market price is going to fall, and the quantity traded will also fall as well. So this is just the diagram part, not the analysis part. So basically we can see that we move from E to E1, right? And make sure that you make the arrows as well, because we don't know, because the examiner does not know that D1 is the original equilibrium or D is the original equilibrium. You have to show that D1 is the new demand curve that represents a fall in demand. And as a result of that, basically, prices are falling from P to P1, and quantity traded, that is the number of houses that are being bought and sold in the market, also falls from Q to Q1 as well. Okay, great stuff, excellent, understood. Now what about how to explain that, how to analyze that, right? How do we form a written explanation of all this? So what are we going to write? First thing that we will write is, in the above diagram or in the below diagram, wherever we have drawn, as far as the explanation is concerned, in the above diagram, let's say, demand falls. We know that demand falls. Why demand falls to D1? Because of a fall in incomes. Yes, you heard it right, because of a fall in incomes. And when incomes are falling, you have written it because of fall in incomes. That's not enough. You have to give in the answer, you have to give the explanation. What will happen when incomes will fall? It will lead to a fall in purchasing power, purchasing potential. Fall in purchasing power, which means because of fall in incomes leading to a fall in purchasing power. And because of a fall in purchasing power, what will happen is that, the demand, the consumer's willingness and ability to buy houses falls. And when their ability and willingness to buy houses falls, it results into a declining market for firms as well, for producers as well, for the builders of houses as well. And when demand falls, why would the producers end up, building more houses? Because since demand has fallen, less houses are now being demanded. So what will happen? The producers will also, contract their quantity supplied for houses. So there would be a contraction in quantity supplied for houses. So what was happening? Demand has fallen, resulting into a fall in quantity demanded for houses, and now producers have also contracted the supply of houses. And when this happens, a new equilibrium is formed at E1 that represents a declining market for houses. It represents a fall in quantity being traded in the market from Q to Q1 and a declining price from P to P1. So make sure that first you write that it leads to a fall in purchasing power, and because of that it results in a declining market. Declining market means unprofitable market. It results in a declining, or you can write unprofitable market. And so then you'll write that firms reduce quantity supplied for houses as well. Perfect, that's great. Firms reduce quantity supplied for houses as well, and as a result of that, since less is demanded and since now less quantity is also being supplied, so the market prices would actually keep on falling for houses, because obviously the builders would have to reduce prices. They would reduce their prices in order to sell more houses, because obviously the demand has fallen, right? Consumers is not willing to pay more money. So obviously in order to sell more houses, they have to reduce the price. So the market prices will automatically keep on falling. So firms reduce quantity supplied and the market prices falls from P to P1, and the quantity traded declines from Q to Q1. And again, quantity traded declines from Q to Q1. You can also write, I'm not writing it down over here, but you can write, because I'm not going to write everything down, but you know what I mean, you know what the explanation is. You're going to write it down, and you know what is going to happen. It's going to reduce the quantity being traded in the market, and which means that the quantity that is bought for houses and sold for houses will obviously decline. So definitely it is impacting revenues for the housing industry. It is impacting the revenues for the firms, for the producers, for the builders, for the construction industry. It's definitely impacting their revenues significantly in a negative way. So this is it, guys. This is how you form a good answer in your exam, and this is how you impress the examiner and bag those good grades. So great stuff, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'll see you all in the next video. Till then, take care.